Hello everyone. So this video is for those UPSC aspirants who want to cover Yojana magazine or Kurukshetra magazine, but they are taking too much time. So in this particular lecture, we are going to cover the October 2025 magazine of Kurukshetra. Now, this particular edition is focused on the nutrition part. The goal is to give you the basic understanding how you have to cover it and on what kind of information you need to focus. See, you should read magazine from the mains perspective. Of course, from prelims perspective also you will get a lot of data and terms, but ultimate objective should be to read it from mains perspective so that if there is a question you can use this information. Okay, now let's start. So this particular edition is focused on the nutrition part. Now understand, a few important terms are mentioned in this edition. One is this nutrition sensitive agriculture. There can be a question on this particular part. Apart from that, a digital transformation in healthcare, that could be another topic for mains question. And then there is a risk of obesity and malnutrition. Okay, so we are going to focus on these topics. Now let's start. First thing first, understand, there is a difference in poverty, hunger, and malnutrition. See, poverty basically means, in a very simple sense, poverty simply means the person does not have sufficient resources for basic minimum life. That's poverty, lack of resources. Hunger basically means insufficient calorie intake or low calorie intake. Hunger, in a very simple sense, let's say my body require 2000 calories and I am not able to provide 2000 calories. So in that case, it is a situation of hunger. So inadequate calories, that refers to hunger. Malnutrition, on the other hand, refers to lack of micronutrients. In a very simple sense, there may be a possibility that person is getting the food but not getting the enough amount of nutrients. That refers to the situation of malnutrition. It is quite difficult to detect it. That's why it is also referred as hidden hunger. Hidden hunger. Now understand, usually, again I am saying usually the main factor responsible for hunger is poverty. People are poor, that's why they are not able to afford the sufficient amount of calories. That is hunger. But malnutrition may or may not be because of poverty. For example, obesity is also a type of malnutrition. That simply means the person is consuming more than the required calories. That's why there is obesity. So in this case, the problem is because of our food consumption or our pattern of consumption. So it may or may not be because of poverty. For example, in this magazine itself, in the later part, we are going to discuss that urban areas are now facing the problem of overnutrition. Overnutrition basically means you're consuming much more than what our body is required. So that is a problem of obesity. Okay, so these are some of the basic terms you should have a crystal clear idea. Poverty simply means less money, you don't have sufficient money for basic minimum life. Hunger simply means insufficient calorie intake. Malnutrition basically means insufficient micronutrient intake. That's why it is also referred as hidden hunger. Obesity simply means excessive intake of nutrition or excessive intake of calories. Okay, now the first chapter of this magazine focus on the Rashtriya Poshan Mah. See, to address the problem of malnutrition, the government had started a scheme named as Poshan. Poshan, in a very simple sense, means nutrition. To spread awareness regarding nutrition, Poshan Ma practice was started. Ma basically means month. Okay, so this focus on the problem of malnutrition. Now understand, malnutrition is a multi-dimensional problem. What does that even mean? It simply means, see, because of malnutrition, the cognitive development of child will be limited. So that will have adverse impact on the learning abilities of child and subsequently on the earning potential of the child. So that will have not only economic loss, it will also have the social loss or talent loss. Okay, so that's why it will impact the health of the child, it will impact the productivity, and it will also impact the economic growth. Subsequently, it leads to loss of economic growth, and that's why every year there is a loss of roughly 3.5 trillion dollars annually. This is about global. 3.5 trillion dollars, this is loss because of malnutrition. So in a very simple statement, you can use this data to show that this is the cost of malnutrition. If we will focus on malnutrition, if we are able to address this problem, we can achieve this much more growth. In a very simple sense, if we are going to focus on nutrition part, our growth will increase tremendously. That is the basic aspect. Okay, so per person, every year there is a loss of roughly $500. Okay, this is about global scenario. Now coming to the Poshan Abhiyan of Government of India. So it basically focus on three things. What are those three things? First is Jan Andolan. Jan basically means public. So it focus on the changing behavior of the people. The focus is on behavioral change. See, when we are talking about nutrition, there are two major factors. A, lack of money is one issue. That simply means person does not have sufficient money to afford the nutrition. Second issue is our consumption pattern or our consumption behavior. That simply means even if there is money, people tend to consume specific diet which leads to malnutrition. So through this Jan Abhiyan, the government is trying to change the behavior of people. For example, in a very simple sense, majority of our diet, especially the vegetarian diet of our country, it is rich in carbohydrate and it does not have sufficient amount of protein. It is rich in carbohydrate, it does not have sufficient amount of protein. Now what is happening, because of this regular consumption pattern, over a period of time there is a insufficient amount of protein intake, which leads to protein deficiency. So in this case, what we are trying to do, we are trying to change the consumption behavior of the people. That's first part of the scheme. Second is we are monitoring with the help of digital technology. Monitoring basically means what are the level of nutrition. For that purpose, we have a Poshan tracker. The name itself is self-explanatory. And third is capacity building. See, whenever there is a term capacity building, it simply means we are teaching new things to our staff. We are teaching new things to our professionals in a very simple sense. When there is a capacity building of civil servants, in a very simple sense, we are giving them new skill set so that they can provide better services. Similarly, the government is focusing on the capacity building of Anganwadi workers. So, three important things. A, government is trying to change the behavior of people. B, government is trying to provide more skills to the workforce through Anganwadi workers. And then government is trying to track the performance of different parameters. That is the part of this Poshan Abhiyan. Now, what are the challenges? Number one challenge is there are regional disparity. Regional disparity exists among states also. Different states have different performance. For example, states like Bihar, they lag behind. Another challenge is a disparity among disparity within state. For example, intra-state disparities. Uh, some districts perform better. Within a same district also, rural-urban disparities are there. Number two, there are deep-rooted cultural food practices. For example, as far as midday meal is concerned, initially government had planned that we are going to provide egg to provide more protein to the children, but this was protested on the ground that there are certain children who are vegetarian. That simply means their diet is veg. So if we are going to provide eggs to them, that will be in conflict with their cultural practices. Now the problem is that in this case it is very difficult to change the consumption behavior. So that's why there are certain issues, not only about veg and non-veg, even within veg also, our diet is um, biased towards more carbohydrate. So what government will have to do? Government will have to shift a change towards, let's say, more protein intake. Similarly, there are issues in the supply chain. Understand it using one example. The cropping pattern of our country is heavily dominated by the crops like rice and wheat. Why so? The reason is quite simple. Because of government policy, there is a price assurance for the farmer that if they are going to cultivate rice and wheat, they will be purchased by the government. So farmers tend to cultivate them. That's why what happens is that the consumption of these items is much higher. Another problem is that through NFSA, National Food Security Act, government provide rice and wheat to the population at a very subsidized rate. Therefore, people tend to consume more of these items, and that's why other items are kind of ignored. So that is another issue, and there is a lack of coordination among different department and ministry. So these are some of the challenges. With this, the first chapter of this Kurukshetra magazine, October 2025, is over. Now moving on to the second chapter, that is talking about the nutrition of our future. Now understand, India have one significant advantage. Our country is fairly young, so we have young working age population. But if this population will not be healthy, if this population will not be well educated, this advantage will not be sufficient enough. That simply means we will not be able to utilize this advantage of young population. Our young population should be healthy, our young population should be well educated, our young population should be skilled. The problem is that majority of our population is a victim of malnutrition. For example, understand the problem. The first 1000 days from the birth to the age of 2 years, they have a significant impact on the health of the child, on the cognitive development of the child, and on the productivity. Now, what happens? Understand the problem here. In our country, majority of population, as per, for example, as per census 2011, roughly 69% of the population reside in rural areas. In rural areas, mothers are not that much aware about the nutrition. So what happens is that in the initial stage, the child face the problem of malnutrition, and throughout their life they are not able to recover from it. That's why it is important to focus on the nutrition of the child. If we will not be able to address the problem of malnutrition at child level, it will be very very difficult to come out of this problem. Okay. Now understand, we are having two major challenges now. First challenge was that undernutrition basically means I'm not taking sufficient nutrition. Another challenge, especially which is emerging in urban areas, is the challenge of overnutrition and obesity. Overnutrition basically means I'm consuming more than required, and this leads to obesity also. So now there are twin kind of challenge. A, we are not able to provide right kind of nutrition to the population. In certain cases, the population is consuming much more than what is required. Okay, so these are two major issues. The household consumption expenditure survey, basically this is survey which reflect the consumption pattern of the population. This shows that there is a growing trend of packaged food and food items and beverages. Now understand the connection here. With increasing urbanization, the consumption of these packaged items will increase. What is the connection? Urbanization. Urbanization basically means the population have higher income in comparison to rural one. So they will prefer more convenience because of less time. So what will happen? They are going to consume more and more packaged items, and therefore it will have adverse impact on their health. Okay, and this leads to the problem of rising obesity. In fact, understand this problem here. From here, you will be able to connect it to the non-communicable disease. In fact, there is a rising trend that now the non-communicable disease are the leading cause of death in our country. Non-communicable disease, for example, heart-related disease, diabetes is there. These diseases are because of our lifestyle, because of our consumption habits. Okay. Now, what are the factors responsible for rising obesity in our country? So, there is a consumption of high calorie and no low nutrient diet. Why there is low nutrient? Understand, these are processed items. These are processed for convenience, and therefore, if you are going to consume them, you will be able to consume too much amount of calorie in less time, but they won't provide you that much nutrition which could have been provided by the natural items, natural food items. They are very easy to uh, mm, eat in a very simple sense. Convenience is there. Then there is a growing culture of eating out, dining out. Basically means you won't cook at home, you will go out to eat. Now again, connected to the rising urbanization and rising income level. In rural areas, these patterns are relatively less in comparison to urban one. Then there is a use of GM foods or GM crops. GM crops basically means genetically modified. Now, the genetic modification has been done, but over a period of time, it may have adverse impact on our health. Understand this point carefully. In our country, only BT cotton is allowed in as far as GM crops are concerned. When we are negotiating a trade agreement with the USA, this is one of the major bone of contention between India and USA. US want that India should allow the import of GM crops in India, import of GM crops from USA to India. We are not okay with that, and that's why there is a problem also. So that is another factor. Apart from that, the sedentary lifestyle is another major reason, and because of that, what is happening? We are consuming a lot of calories because they are easily available in terms of processed items, and we are not spending that much amount of calorie because entire day we are just sorry, we are working on the desk. So because of these factors, the obesity cases are increasing. Now moving on to the third chapter, that is nutrition sensitive agriculture. Whenever you are writing any answer related to the problem of nutrition poverty, you should use this term. Understand the meaning of this term, nutrition sensitive agriculture. In a very simple sense, we are going to uh, follow those agricultural practices which will help us in achieving our nutritional goals as well. That is the meaning of nutrition sensitive agriculture. Now understand, roughly 44% of our workforce is engaged in agriculture. So what NSA? I'm going to call this NSA. NSA basically means nutrition sensitive agriculture. So this is going to integrate agriculture or farming with the nutrition to address the problem of undernutrition and micronutrient deficiency or obesity. Let me give you a very basic example. For example, right now cropping pattern is heavily dominated by rice and wheat. The government is trying to promote millets, pulses. What will happen if farmers will start cultivating these items? Over a period of time, they will start consuming also. Why? Because these items are being cultivated. So what will happen? The consumption pattern will be diversified. Right now, why they are not cultivating? Because government is not providing right kind of policy environment. In a very simple sense, the policy environment is more in the favor of rice and wheat in comparison to other crops. However, in the last few years, government is now focusing on other crops as well. For example, you can give example of millets. You can give example of pulses. This year budget, that is 2025 budget, focus on Atmanirbharta in pulses. Three type of pulses are being focused on. Number one is tur, urad, and masoor. Okay, so these are important points. Now what else need to be done? See, we can use bio fortified crops. Now understand, in a very simple sense, fortification is simply a practice of adding nutrition. Add what? Add nutrition. Now if we are going to add nutrition before cultivation, that is referred as a biofortification. Before cultivation, let's say we are talking about wheat. So in the seed itself, the nutrition has been added, or nutrition has been added. That will be biofortification. Another type is food fortification. Food fortification basically means normal wheat is there, wheat was cultivated, and after production it is processed. This is referred as a food fortification, where nutrition is added after production. Okay, so these are two major types. So biofortification can be done. Dietary diversity should be there. In a very simple sense, our diet should have variety of items. How there will be variety of items? When farmer will cultivate variety, they will start consuming also. Okay. Apart from that, there is one more biasness. Usually the female get the less nutrition in comparison to male counterpart. So we have to address these kind of biasness as well. So for that we have to focus on women empowerment, and we also need to focus on climate resilient farming. Why climate resilient farming? See, because of climate change, the agriculture is adversely impacted. So we have to develop those varieties which can withstand the climate change. Okay, and therefore NSA. What is NSA? NSA is nutrition sensitive agriculture. NSA directly contribute to SDG 2 and SDG 3. In fact, it will also contribute to SDG 1. What is SDG 1? Poverty. See, understand the connection here. Roughly half of our population is dependent on agriculture for employment. If we are able to, if we are able to improve the situation of agriculture, it will address the problem of poverty, it will address the problem of hunger, it will address the problem of nutrition. So this is how you can connect it. Whenever you are giving any suggestion related to let's say nutrition, or related to improving the health of people, use this term nutrition related agriculture or nutrition sensitive agriculture. Now understand the paradox. In case of India, paradox basically means, on one side we are one of the leading producer of fruits, milk, vegetable. On the other hand, our performance in terms of nutrition is quite low. Even in terms of food production, every year we are able to produce more and more food, but a significant population of our country is still struggling for the basic necessity of food. That's why there is a problem, or that's why this is referred as paradox. Paradox basically means two contradictory situation. On one side we are leading producer, on another side our own population is suffering because of malnutrition. Okay, so India is world's largest milk producer. It is largest producer of pulses. It is also a significant producer of spices. But what happens is that we are still struggling in terms of nutrition. For example, as per the 2025 Global Hunger Index, India is on 102nd position, and India's score is 25.8, which is in serious category. In a very simple sense, our ranking is not good, or our performance is not good. However, there are counter argument against this poor performance. One counter argument is sample size is too small. If you have gone through the indicators of this global hunger index, basically it is based on four parameters, out of which three are related to child stunting, child wasting, and child mortality. That's why government usually say a sample size is small. That means very roughly 3000 samples are taken. On the basis of 3000 samples, it is declared that a country of 140 crore people is suffering from the problem of hunger. That's one counter argument. Second counter argument is that out of four parameters, three are related to child. So it does not reflect the hunger status of entire country, entire age groups of the country. Okay, these are some of the counter argument against it. But again, we cannot reject the finding of the report. We have to understand that there are certain issues in our food security. There are certain issues in our nutrition program, and we have to address that. Apart from that, see, the previous report was Global Hunger Index report that was talking about the global scenario. But even our own reports highlight the problem of malnutrition. For example, there is National Family Health Survey 5. As per that, roughly 35% of children under 5 are stunted, 19% are wasted, and 67% are anemic. Now, this itself shows that yes, we are a country of young people. We are a country which is having young working age population. But this population is not getting the right kind of nutrition. So, of course, their cognitive development will be adversely impacted. That's why we need to focus on nutrition part. So, you can use this to show that yes, the nutrition is a serious concern which we are facing right now. Okay, and why it is happening? Because of the monotonous cereal based diet dominated in rural areas, and that's why our nutritional outcome are not good. In a very simple sense, we keep on having same kind of food without understanding the importance of other micronutrients. As I have highlighted, that majority of population in our country do not understand the significance of protein. Why so? Because we tend to consume what we are consuming since ages, and therefore this pattern is repeated, and subsequently it leads to micronutrient deficiency. Okay, now there are two important case studies which you can use in your answer. For example, there is a FAO project in Madhya Pradesh. FAO is Food and Agriculture Organization. So this has reflected that because of improving dairy intake basically means improving the intake of dairy products such as milk, the child anemia was reduced 15%. Even if you don't remember the data, just remember that because of increment in the consumption of dairy items, the anemia percentage came down. That is FAO project in Madhya Pradesh. Another example which you can quote in your answer is nutrition smart villages. The term is quite important. You can use it in your answer. Let me highlight it. In a very simple sense, this is an initiative in Bihar where women are being trained for dietary diversity. What does that even mean? It simply means your diet should have diversity, your diet should have variety. If women will be able to understand this concept, understand why women, because they are going to decide the nutrition of their child, and if they understand this, what will happen? We will be able to tackle the problem of this malnutrition. So that's why this initiative is quite important. So you can use this. It is a program of UNICEF, and that is being implemented with the help of a Bihar government. Okay, nutrition smart villages. Now coming to the last chapter, that is chapter fourth. Second, that is digital transformation of healthcare. In a very simple sense, we are combining two important issues: healthcare plus digitization. That is referred as a digital transformation of healthcare. For that purpose, we have one project named as Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission. Under this, a unique health account is created for each person, that is referred as ABHA ID. ABHA stands for Ayushman Bharat Health Account. So just like we have unique Aadhaar ID, similarly there will be unique health ID. What will be the benefit? Understand. Let's say you consulted a doctor. There were certain findings. Those findings will be updated along with your ABHA ID. So now whenever you will visit next doctor, the doctor will be able to see your past record that okay, you were facing these issues. So that is the basic objective in a oversimplified sense. Okay. Now, apart from that, government is also working on different initiative. For example, e-Sanjeevani telemedicine platform is there. Now, what is this telemedicine? In a very simple sense, you are sitting at your home and you are consulting doctor online. That is referred as telemedicine. Apart from that, there is a concept of health ATMs. See, this is the benefit of reading government magazines or magazines which focus on government initiatives. You will get lot of terms. You will get to know that in remote areas government is starting new initiatives. Health ATM, what is the purpose? See, usually from ATM we get money. In case of health ATM, they have installed the diagnostic tools. So you will go there, or the person will go there and will be able to get the health report in a very simple sense. Now, why it is important, especially in remote areas, especially in rural areas? See, rural areas does not have good healthcare infrastructure. So what happens is that whenever people face any problem, they tend to ignore it, because otherwise they will have to go to urban area for the health facility. Two problems are there: A, distance is there; B, cost is there. So what government is saying, why not to install these kind of health ATMs so that we can diagnose the problem at the initial level itself. So that's why these kind of health ATMs are being installed in the states of Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. They have diagnostic tools. Okay. Now, what are the issues related to this? A, the healthcare professionals, be it doctors, be it nurses, they're not well trained in using these digital equipment. So, lack of digital training is there. Apart from that, internet penetration itself is a problem. For example, as per TRI report, what is TRI? Telecom Regulatory Authority of India. As per TRI report of 2023, the rural internet penetration is 38%. In urban areas, it is 70%. Now, of course, government is trying to improve the digital connectivity through BharatNet project. That is BharatNet optical fiber network is there through which the villages are connected to the internet. Okay. Now, apart from that, there is a privacy risk also. Understand, when health data is collected, what if this data is being misused? For example, in UK, there was a controversy. What happened is that the patient record was prepared, and in that case, the data was shared with third parties for research purpose. But the problem was that patients were not informed. Ideally, the patient should have been informed, and if patient had given explicit permission, then only their data should have been shared. But in this case, what had happened, the patient were not even aware that their data is being used, and that's why there are a lot of trust issues, there are a lot of privacy related issues, because when your data is shared, your health record data is shared, it will raise the concern of privacy and of misuse as well. Apart from that, we are focusing on AI, but the problem is that, what is AI? It is artificial intelligence. In a very simple sense, who is training AI? It is the human being, and we human being are quite biased. Whether we accept it or not, we are biased. So what happens, our biasness will be reflected in the AI itself, and therefore it may create problems. So we have to understand this biasness as well. So what need to be done? We need to adopt technology, no doubt about that. We also need to focus on the governance. That simply means we need to improve the quality of the service. Plus, we also need to focus on the data privacy or data protection so that it is not misused. Then only we will be able to build the trust. So, with this, we have covered the Kurukshetra magazine of October 2025. That should be more than sufficient. Just write down these points. Of course, you will get the PDF, but I would recommend that write down these points in one page only, on the front side of the page. That's it. Your mains notes for one magazine is ready. Every month, just cover this issue this way. So by the end of 1 year, almost you will have 8 to 12 pages and 8 to 12 issues. If there will be question, you will have more than sufficient information. That's all. If this video was helpful for you, please use the hive feature so that you can YouTube can understand that this content is useful for you. Thank you.